what is going on in this industry. There's so many people right now, and you've talked about a lot of them, that are just fraudulent. They're in all other words, they're just disgusting.
You're going to basically quit your job. Like, look at all these people who are super successful with my program, He basically represents that as the normal case.
You don't want to do something better. You want to do something different. You know, you've got people that go in there that will spend $40,000. We'll get into $40,000 of debt, and they'll end up becoming a manager at Starbucks.
Dan, right now, listen to me. Look me in the eyes. You can come on Coffeezilla and give your case, please. I welcome you to my show. Don't ban your students for commenting. Come on the show, baby. Welcome to Vegas Gurus. Today we have Spencer Vann. Guys, this is a call I've been excited about for a while. Spencer is sort of a guru, right? Like, would you call yourself a guru?
I do the marketing for someone that teaches. So I guess I'm a guru at some level.
You run a course, right? Or you help run a course?
I help run a course. That's correct.
And you reached out to me because you wanted to talk about sort of maybe defend the gurus a little bit, show the other side of the thing. Because my channel obviously talks about a certain side of it. You want to talk about the other side. So let's get into it.
Yeah, and you know, before we do that, I will say when you say defend, it's less defend. I'm just tired of this because I go around now, people ask me what I do, and I tell them, oh, you know, I work and we sell this program, and like 80% of people jump to, oh, this guy's a scam because of what is going on in this industry. There's so many people right now, and you've talked about a lot of them, that are just fraudulent. They're in all other words, they're just disgusting. And being in an industry with those people, you know, it associates you with them, even though that's not what you're doing. And so I'm just kind of frustrated of that. And that's why I wanted to come up here and just give you a different perspective. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind. I don't think that's what's going to happen today.
For sure. No, I think that's totally fair. I want you to present the other side of the coin. And I'm glad you admit, and I appreciate you just right up front saying, yeah, there's a lot of scammy stuff going on in this industry. Why do you think that is? Why do you think this industry specifically, it doesn't seem to be the outlier that is scammy? It seems to be like the normal, and then maybe the more legitimate cases, it feels like they're less noticed.
Well, there's a couple reasons. First of all is, you know, there's different types of gurus, and I don't know how in depth I can go with this, just talking about it, but there's the type of guru that is running an actual business, selling programs, and an example of that would be Sam Ovens, right? And then there's a type of guru that is strictly promoting a lifestyle. And so you look at those people and you say, okay, who are those people? Well, those people, as I'm sure a lot of your followers have Instagram, right? If you go on Instagram and you're getting those Shopify ads and you say, hey, there's some guy that is sitting on a Lamborghini telling you to swipe up and follow him and shoot him a DM. Okay, that's a guy that's promoted that, but that's a big thing that's going on right now.
Right.
I mean, totally. Tens of thousands of dollars every single day are being sold through that. And it's like, well, why is that? Okay. It's because number one is courses, there's no product cost. So once you make it, it's, you know, you're selling something for $1,000 that I'm not paying for. It's just all pure profit. Okay. Except for the ad cost, of course, but other than that, it's profit. Okay.
Right. And
then number two is, you know, a lot of these people get into it, especially the younger guys, they get into it because, oh, this is the lifestyle. You know, an entrepreneur is someone that drives around in a Lamborghini. And when I sell a course, if I have a Lamborghini, it helps me sell it. So it justifies it to them. And it's just this perpetual cycle that continues on and on and on. So I think that just the money that's in it, number one, and then the fact that it's so low barrier to entry. You know, it's so easy. I mean, you could right now, if you're like, you know what, these fake gurus, I need to do something better. You could go start a course and have it, you know, start selling tomorrow. It's that easy, right? Now, how successful you're going to be depends on your skill level. But at the end of the day, actually getting into the business is not that difficult. You know, there's very low barrier to entry. So
right. You just launch a webinar, you get the ClickBank, account, all that kind of stuff. You hit the ground running, run some ads.
I mean, if that, we talked about the DM thing, but I mean, for God's sakes, you know, you talked about Jet Set Fly, and like, what did he do? He just went to an event and spoke for an hour and made or a couple events and scammed $500,000 worth of people. You know what I mean? So it's like, you don't even need to forget the webinar. The webinar is hard. Forget that. Just buy some fake followers on Instagram and send some DMs and you made a couple $1,000. I mean, it really is that easy, unfortunately, but it is. So, yeah.
Yeah. Right. No, absolutely. So you came on to basically say, but there's this other side. You guys are talking about the gurus. You mentioned Sam Ovens as being legit. Obviously, I've talked about Sam Ovens a little bit about his testimonial. So I've got a certain opinion, but I want to hear your point of view.
Well, you do, man, and your videos were hilarious, by the way. But I think and we talked about this on the phone, but with gurus, you can't, it's not all or nothing. Okay. So, there's people, and I brought him up a lot this call already, but Jet Set Fly, like that's out of a 10, he's a 10 out of 10 in terms of his fraudulentness, right? He is as fraudulent, as scam as you can get. And then there's, everything before that. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and all the way up to, to 9 and 10. Sure. And so the question is, where does everyone fall? One would be someone like an Andrew Argue, who probably no one knows that follows you. Andrew Argue is a guru. He makes about $1 million a month or so, selling a course strictly to accountants, helping them grow their existing business. Okay, same concept, but he's only selling it to accountants. He's not trying to sell. And I know the one thing that you don't like is people selling to, the lower demographic people that probably can't afford these things, right?
Right.
But that's someone that clearly doesn't do that. That's only working with accountants. Right. Then you get to, everybody else, that's not strictly business people or strictly working with business people. And one of those people is Sam, right? He works with all types of people. And the question is, okay, does he say some things in his marketing that are probably not perfect? No, of course not. Nobody does. There's no company ever that's been perfect in their marketing ever. Okay. Number one. But number two is really, what's the quality of his product? How good is his product? And the fact that, you posted a video, and I don't know how many people contacted you, but you've had a couple people at least contact you and say, hey, you know what? I've actually been in Sam's course. And even though you're bashing him, I would like to come on and defend him. And I know you said you even had someone that was like, no, I can't make it because, is this true? Because Sam told me not to, or something like that. I don't want to take words out of your mouth there.
No, yeah, there was a guy who we were going to have another testimonial about Sam Ovens. He was like, hey, I'm up in California. I'm like ex Google. I wanted to talk about Sam Ovens because I think he's legit. And we set up the call, and then later he was like, oh no, I don't want to do the call because Sam says you shouldn't focus on the haters or something like that.
Gotta love him.
Which I was like, whatever. Dude, come on the show. Don't come on the show. I mean, ultimately that's up to you. Sure. Yeah, no, there were people who wanted to talk about Dan Lok. I mean, there have been a lot of people who have reached out to me.
And I want to make clear, I don't know Dan. I don't know anything about. I very little I know about Dan. Sure. Okay, I've really seen his YouTube videos, so I'm not going to sit here and try to talk about Dan because I don't know. But right. Sam, I know a lot more, and then obviously Becker, I have a very close relationship with him, and those guys, from what I've seen, okay, everything that I've worked with them on has been legitimate. Their products have gotten me personally results. I've seen them get results with other people. Are they perfect? No. Okay. But on the scale of things, they're nowhere near a 10. They're nowhere even near a 5. I would put Sam at like a 2.5 or a 3. I would put Becker at a 3.5, 4, strictly because his ads are a little bit crazy, as I know you've seen. So
yeah, sure. To me, a lot of the Becker and Sam Ovens question all comes down to demographics, right? Like, I don't have any problem with somebody like the guy who I did have on the program who was a fan of Sam Ovens. I have no problem with someone like him, getting a Sam Ovens course. He has like a master's degree in marketing. He has a marketable skill, and he's created a consulting business out of it. Sure. But the other guy who came on, who didn't get results, he's talking about how Sam Ovens just basically takes anybody and regurgitates course information from a bunch of books. So that's the part where I'm like, how is this course justified charging $2,000 all based on the marketing idea that I'm going to get you from step 1, 0 to step hero. I mean, that's mostly what I have a problem with. Mm-hmm. I agree though with your core contention, which is that, hey, this guy isn't as bad as someone like Jet Set Fly, who's literally, being fraudulent, causing, taking literally scraping people's last dime together and getting them in the course. I would really like to see, look, to me, I think these gurus have taken it for granted that they should just be assumed to be legit and fair, whatever. And I don't think you can make that the guru industry so bad that I think gurus should start proactively basically saying like, look, these are the demographics I'm targeting. Let me just be transparent with you guys. I'm not targeting people who are making less than X dollars a year because I don't think they should be a good fit for my course. I think they should start if they have such a thing. You can't blame people for being skeptical of an industry that is so rife with predatory behavior. I think skepticism should be the norm. And you should wait until basically, especially when it's a $2,000 course with like a $2,500 upsell and then another upsell after that for actual one-on-one consulting.
Right. No, and first of all, I think what you just said is right. You should never, like if you're going to buy a course, if someone's, Becker always says this, if someone's online yelling at you on how to make money, you should be skeptical. And he says it in his ads for a psychological reason, but it's true. Like you shouldn't be like, you know what? I'm not really sure about this guy, but let me just send over 2,000 and we'll figure it out later. Like you should know this guy is legitimate. Okay. The problem is now, and this is a multifaceted problem because what you just said is okay, everyone should have skepticism. That's true. Right. The other hand is now there's so many fake gurus that now the people that can actually help people get pushed out of it. That's the problem. Because there's so many, like you talked about, and this is something you brought up, and I wanted to bring this up today. With Jet Set Fly, I talked about, okay, well, why don't you talk more about guys like that instead of guys like Sam Ovens? He said, well, yeah, Jet Set Fly, as you mentioned, is clearly a lot more fraudulent, but Sam has touched a lot more people. Right.
Right. For everyone who's listening, me and Spencer had a call previous to this. We're kind of referencing some of those things said in that call. So just FYI, let's try to build from like the ground up just so everyone's like fully content. Yeah. I'll give the argument for a second because Spencer 100%. Was basically like, hey, there's so many people that are much worse than Sam Ovens. And I'll agree with that. And actually, I kind of said in the 10 red flags video, which was like, look, there's a sliding scale of terrible, right? Generally, I don't think you should be buying courses from people on the internet, but that's my personal opinion, okay? But Spencer's point was, look, why don't you focus on the guys who are like the bigger scammers? And actually, we've got a guy coming, I think this Friday, who's pretty bad. I'm hopping on a call right after this to do exactly that. But what I told him was, hey, look, there's two things that I consider when thinking about a fake guru. One is how fraudulent are they, or how much of a fake guru are they, even if it's not fraud? How much of the false advertising, whatever. And then I said you also have to consider how many people is this guy bringing in, because I think that affects how valuable the consumer information is. If a guy is super scammy but he only affects one person a year, I don't really want to waste my time. So I thought Sam Ovens was interesting because he's really at the top of the guru game. It seems like he's like one of the biggest. He's him, Becker, Dan Lok. I mean, those are like the three big names. I know there's some others I'm forgetting about right now. Kevin David, that's someone else I want to do, guys. Everyone's been asking for Kevin David. I will get to Kevin David, but that's what the conversation was about. So go ahead, Spencer. Pick up where I left.
Yeah, no, and I'm. Where was I? I'm with you there, and I apologize about that if I'm referencing things people don't remember. I forgot.
No, that's fine.
But I guess my point in bringing that up is, you're absolutely right. There's obviously, first of all, when we say Sam is the guy, as I keep referencing this, but he's the guy by a large margin. I'm not going to share his exact numbers because I don't know his exact numbers. But from what I was told from someone that is basically his right-hand man, the numbers that they gave me would put him well above everyone else that I know of, which is, I don't want to say everybody, but I know most of the big players, okay?
Sure.
At least from a distance, But anyways,
sure.
So with that being said, I kind of get where you're coming from. But at the same time, here's the thing that's interesting about education versus other products, right? So right here, I have my iPhone, okay? And if I were to sell you this iPhone and it didn't work, you would just refund. You would just, hey, send me back, send me a new one. It doesn't work, okay? Or you would just turn it on and it would start working. Those are the two options, okay?
Sure.
With education, Definitely. It's a very unique industry where the customer has to be countered into that, because my information can be the best in the world. And let's say hypothetically, I go around, I pay tens of millions of dollars to get the best experts in the world and create a course about how to make a YouTube channel, okay, or something like that, right?
Right.
And I sell it to you for $5,000. And you never watch it. Well, whose fault is that you didn't get success? Where's the line that it becomes the businesses versus the customer's fault? And here's the thing: as a business owner, it's always my fault. That's always my rule, because I'm trying to get everyone success. But at some point, logically speaking, there is a line where it says, okay, this is no longer the business's fault. The customer literally did not use the product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I would say that
line?
specifically is the line. We can like point in the sand that when a customer is not watching the educational content, that is the line at which point the business should not be held accountable for somebody saying it didn't work for me. And that is where I'd like to push that. I think a lot of times what I've seen in a lot of my guru comment sections, it doesn't matter who it is, they always say, oh, this person didn't try hard enough. This person he just didn't put in the work. And that's it's a true excuse in some cases, but in other cases, it's a great way to push off blame for a product not actually working. And so you're right, it is kind of complicated, but at the same time, I always kind of hesitate because I've had, for example, specifically with Sam Ovens, I had a guy on who was like, yeah, like I went through his whole course and he sent me pictures of like his progress completion bar. And it was like 98% or something. It was something like that. Yeah. And it was like, yeah, I didn't get any results. That to me is, you can't say, oh, the guy didn't try hard enough. Because I know in Sam Ovens' case, there's like many, many hours of content. He went through all of it and he's like, I put in the work. I did do the stuff and I'm not getting results. In that case, where do you? I'm interested in what you think because
100%.
How do you feel about that?
So let me just break this down. And this is you want to get the insider scoop on what gurus talk about. This is what gurus talk about. Okay, sure. So in any info business, you have a few different type of customers. Okay, you have and it's okay if I share my screen and kind of draw this out because I think this would make more sense if I did.
Yeah, sure.
Let's see here. All right, can you let's see? Can you see this whiteboard here? If I draw this. Boom.
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay, so on any, let me make this red too, so it's even easier to see. Okay, on any, as far as gurus go, you have this contingency of customers. Okay, the first thing you have is the top 10, maybe 15% of people that join your program. These are people that, like you interviewed that guy. You said he had a master's degree. Like he's probably already successful, and they're just real go-getters in life. And the question becomes that, see, like as a guru, you can't win because like your point is like, oh, well, he would have been successful anyways because he was already successful. He was already on the path. He would have been successful anyway, which in some cases probably true, right? On the other cases is who knows how long it would have taken him. Maybe it would have taken him a lot longer. Like, I don't know. Like,
I think he's specifically credited, to be fair to him and his testimony, I think he specifically credited Sam Ovens with jumpstarting his career. So he, in his own words, he said, look, he got me there much faster than I could have by myself.
Fair enough. Okay. So anyway, that's 10 to 50. I'm going to put 10%. That's 10, 15% of people that come in. They're already like on the path to be successful. It's just a matter of giving them a little bit more focus. Okay. That's really all it is. Okay. Then you've got another 30 to 40%. I know these are not going to be proportional, but it doesn't matter. Okay. That are, these are people that, they're very interested. Maybe they're beginners. They are driven. Okay. But they need a little bit more help than the 10% that is already there. Okay. An example of this person for my business, we teach people how to start real estate businesses. So it would be someone that, doesn't already have a successful business in any industry. Or maybe they do, but it's very low level of success. Maybe they've done one real estate deal and they're like, I don't know how to do another one, something like that. Okay. Yep. Again, new, but driven, committed to it. Okay. Then you've got another 30% of people, okay, that will watch the program. They'll watch all of it and they'll try it. Okay. Now the level of trying it varies. Okay. So maybe they'll try it. And, for us, we teach, hey, how to go out and contact people that are looking, or that were just foreclosed on and try to help them. Okay. How many of these calls are they actually making, right? There's all these questions, okay? For Sam, I've never been through Consulting Accelerator, which is the course. Actually, no, the guy you had on was talking about Uplevel, okay? Uplevel is basically helping people start, create what's called a video sales letter, a VSL, or a webinar. And for him, it would be like, okay, what 30% of people probably go through the course and maybe they try doing a webinar. Like they build some slides out or something like that's that 30%, okay? And these are the people that it's your job. If your course is really good, you have to get as many of these people over to this side as possible, meaning that you have to get them to commit and you have to get them to take action. Because at the end of the day, as you briefly touched on, you can watch 98% of the course. If you don't actually do it, it doesn't matter. That's the thing about education. Like you can use the whole product. That's why I brought up the line because, where the line is where you say, okay, well, the line should be, well, they watched through the whole course. Well, it can't be there because just because you watch the whole course doesn't mean you don't watch videos and then make money. That's not how it works, right? You have to go ahead and take action. Okay. So that's what, and then you have 5 to 10% of people, and I don't know if these numbers make any sense, but you have the last 5, 10% of people that they're quite honestly, they're crazy. They truly believe that, they're literally, if they watch a video, that they're going to make money. I'll give you an example of this. We had a customer, and I'm not going to share any personal information, obvious, but we had a customer.
Is that the last section? Because that would have been 30% of the customers. Is that sort of what you
5 to 10%. If the rest of the percentage will go in split evenly between the two. Again, I'm not doing the math.
Sure. No worries.
I appreciate the clarification. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, to give you a brief example here, we had a customer who bought our program in October of 2018. Okay, it is now October 2019 as we are recording this. Okay, he went through the program and hopped on. We do 5 coaching calls a week. Hopped on our coaching calls for months. Okay, and then in about April of this year, he just disappeared. We just stopped hearing from him. That was it. We stopped hearing from him, and we have a lot of so we it's not like we're like chasing people down. So it's your choice to be here or not. So a couple, literally like probably last week, I get an email. And you always know it's not a good email when someone sends you an email with all caps as the subject line. I'm like, this is not going to be good, right? And I read through this email, and the email, he's like, Spencer, I've gone through this course. I've been on some coaching calls, which was true. He had been on some coaching calls. I haven't had success. Okay. I would like to get a refund. Okay, sure. We have, and I know you want to talk about action-based refunds, which I'm more than happy to talk to you about.
Yeah, sure.
We have 3 requirements for our action-based. Number 1 is that you complete the course. Because if you're going to buy a course, hopefully you would complete it. That would make sense, right? Number 2 is that you actually go on and you attend 2 coaching calls. He had clearly done that, so that wasn't even a question. And then number 3 is that you go out and you make some calls, with potential deals. Now our requirement is 230 days, which comes out to less than 10 a day. And we always say do 10 a day, 5 days a week for 4 weeks, whatever. Okay, that's what we teach. Anyways, so it was not a question of whether he did the coaching calls. The only question was, had he completed the course and had he made the calls? Fair enough. Okay. And even though our refund guarantee is 30 days, he was very upset. And I said, dude, just show us you've done these 2 things and we'll give you a refund. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Okay. So I go through and on our back end, we can see how much of the course he's gone through. I can go through, he's gone through literally 8% of the course in a year. 8%. Okay. So probably not 100%, not even close, right? So I said, okay, what? Sure. Not even close. Okay, fair enough. So, hey, he's upset. I can tell, hey, you know what? Look, man, if you've made the calls, we'll still give you a refund, even though you haven't done it. I mean, really, you haven't used the product. We have a 30-day refund guarantee. It's been a year. Okay. I don't know what product you get, right? All these things against you, but we'll talk. Just send us some information that you've made some calls, and we'll go out and give you a refund. Okay. Hey, you know what, Spencer? I'm really busy, but just give me a refund. And we just go back and forth. Or I shouldn't say we. My support team goes back and forth with them for like 5 or 6 emails. And it's like every time we're like, hey, dude, just send in some information. You made some calls. He changes the subject and says, oh, well, just give me a refund. Well, dude, you're a year into it, right? So what that tells me is he clearly has not done it. If you've watched 8% of the course and, he's made some calls, then why wouldn't he be able to send those in?
Yeah, I don't think we disagree on this. I mean, this is like, if your point is that, this kind of customer will complain, but should not really be allowed to. I mean, people shouldn't take their complaints seriously. I completely agree with you. I don't think those are credible complaints.
100%. This is my point, though. My point is I'm trying to figure out with you, because we're complete opposites, right? We're complete opposites on the spectrum. Okay,
yeah. Which is I love it, dude. I love it.
I'm super excited to be on this call because of that. Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
And because I want to know, in your perspective, okay, hearing that, a true story, where does the line fall? Because originally it was, hey, you know what? If they go through the course and they don't get results, okay, well, there's more than that, right? If they go through the course and don't take the action, then maybe that's where the line should be of when complaints are. If they go through, the course and they half-ass, like, when does it become the customer's fault versus the business's fault that they don't get results? And honestly, it's a genuine question for you. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, so I'm asking you.
Yeah. I think that's a really good question. Well, I think it depends on what kind of marketing you're doing, what kind of guarantees you're trying to imply, because I know every guru under the sun will have some fine print about, results are not guaranteed, blah, 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 blah. But there are certain implications everybody's marketing is making. Okay. Like the most egregious example is obviously people like Kevin David. Obviously, we're going to do a video on him, but he's always talking about like, you're going to basically quit your job. Like, look at all these people who are super successful with my program, da, da, da. He basically represents that as the normal case. So where even in his case, if somebody doesn't watch his videos, I wouldn't hold that against him. What I do hold against him is when people do try to do the Shopify or Amazon, I think it is Amazon FBA, and it's really not as easy as old David said it was. And they actually give it a real chance. And like some good chunk, let's say 30, 40% of his customers are watching the videos, trying the product and not getting the results. And I think the percentage, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt there, 100%. Are not getting the results he's promising and paying thousands of dollars in order to enjoy that failure and waste their time. That to me is a fake guru. So a lot of where I kind of harass gurus, what I harass them about is their claims, because I just think I'm very skeptical of any proven system, that if you follow these everyone's always talking about proven steps. Like you just need a proven system. You need a proven steps, proven this, proven that. And it's like, why make those claims? I think a much more honest sales pitch is, look, I have X experience in this industry. I am personally successful for a variety of luck and hard work. And I want to share my perspective with you. And I'm going to teach you everything I know. Join my course. I think you'll get a lot of value out of it. Now, I think the comeback to that is, well, that wouldn't be a successful sales pitch. I mean, the comeback is, how can I compete with all the guys selling Lamborghinis? How can I compete with everyone who's making the guarantees of you're going to make a full-time income? You're going to do all these things. And that's the part of it where I kind of feel, I can't believe I'm saying this, I feel a little bit bad for gurus, because it is true that if you are completely honest about, really, I can't make any promises to you guys. Really, this is a really hard business. Really, in all honesty, getting a regular job is probably a better option for 90% of people.
Very true.
If they would say that, dude, I have no problem with any guru. Like, it is all in the advertising where that line is between what is false representation, false advertising, and whatever. And yeah, I totally agree. Sometimes it is the customer's bad, but a lot of times, more often, the gurus want to admit people do try. They do try the product. They do all that, and they aren't succeeding. And where is the testimonials for those people? Where is the representation for those people? It's non-existent. You won't find it on anybody's website. You won't find it in anyone's sales. Like, you'll find it on my channel, but that's it. It's like, that's it.
That's hilarious. Dude, you're totally right. I mean, I think that's what we should attack is the advertising. And, again, I kind of briefly touched on how there's two, archetypes that I've seen of gurus. And basically, the two that I've summarized, and I just to give your audience a brief summary, I started this company 2 years ago, November of 2017. So basically 2 years. Before that, I had been in real estate. I got my real estate license really young. I was 18 years old. I don't teach what I talk about, because even though I understand it at a high level, more than most people, I'm not an expert. Okay. I partnered with someone who's done it for 15 years. So just all disclaimer aside, but anyways, I bring that up because, as far as the marketing goes, and this is something, again, we talked about on our call, but when it comes to selling something, like basic sales principles are this: do you buy a drill or do you buy the hole that the drill creates? And the truth is, you buy the hole that the drill creates, right? You're not buying a drill to look at how cool the drill is. You're not like, oh, this is like, most people don't buy like, oh, this is such a cool drill. No, you're like, I want to hang something on my wall. I want to drill in, this screw, and I want to hang it. Okay. Yeah. So that's, with that principle in mind, that is why gurus talk about results. And there's two different ways that gurus try to sell. Okay. Number one, and this is where I am in 100% agreement with you, that these people, they're not necessarily scams in terms of their products or scams, but the way they're selling is very sketchy and scummy. Okay. This is why I'm in alignment with you, is when they sell through what's called significance. So they're selling through, hey, I am X years old and I made X amount of dollars and I'm so cool and I have a Lamborghini and, I rented a private jet. Okay. And like that, when they're selling that way, that's when, for me, because I know this side of the business, that's when my alarm bells start going off, because I'm like, okay, dude, if really what you talk about works, why don't you have people other than yourself that have done it? So that's number one. The second way that gurus try to sell is with success or student success. more specifically. Okay. And that is, hey, like Sam, you watch Sam's webinar, he talks about this a lot. Hey, you know what? We've had X amount of students come in here. We have X amount of results. We have X amount of things. And here's the thing too. I love Sam. I really do. But the thing about Sam, and Sam's product is amazing. The thing about Sam, and this goes with all gurus, I'm not even going to do the math for you. Do the math. Watch his webinar and do the math. He brings up a slide that says he's got X amount of students, X amount of them have become millionaires, and X amount of them have quit their job and whatever. Okay. And do the math. You can figure out the percentage of success in his course. Okay. It's not very difficult.
Right.
Okay.
Sure.
He literally has a slide that says, I have this many people in the course. I have this many people that have become millionaires, and I have this many people that have quit their job. I mean, it's not a hidden fact. So that's number one. But anytime a guru is using significance to sell, whether it's a Lamborghini or, I made $1 million, or here's me, like you've been talking a lot about John Crestani.
I quit my job.
Yeah, I've been watching your videos about John Crestani. Dude, that's hilarious. Okay, like I don't know what's up with him and the Benjamins. Okay, I don't know what's going on with that. No offense to John Crestani, I've never met him, but he seems like a great guy. I don't know. Okay, it's a little questionable. Okay, it's a little questionable. Okay, but I genuinely don't know, so I don't want to rag because I don't know. But from what I've seen with the Benjamins, it's just a little weird. Okay. But yeah, I mean, when that's the way that you're selling something, because that's the equivalent of being like, hey man, I've made $1 million, so buy my iPhone. It's like, that doesn't even make sense. They're not even correlated. Like just because you're teaching someone how to make money, like they're not correlated. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, so that's red flag number one, but I'm sorry, does that really answer your question, or is this more of an open debate?
No, I mean, I think we like pretty much agree on that point. It's like, I do think it all comes down to the advertising, and I do have a little bit of sympathy. Okay. Cause I know I can put myself in the perspective of, okay, let's say Coffee Break had a fake guru course, which I'm not ruling out. No, I'm just kidding. Let's say I had a fake guru course. Okay. Guys, just dream about that tonight. The $2,000 Coffeezilla fake guru course. And, I would feel a lot of pressure to get conversions. And when you're like A/B testing, ads and whatever, and you have two ads, let's say you have two ads. You have the ad that makes wild promises and the ad that is very straightforward and sells the actual drill. And I want to talk about why I think the money making thing is a specific industry where you need more strict advertising. But I know that the one where I make promises would get more clicks, and I know it'd be extremely tempting to run that ad because as a calculation, as a business, you just go, oh, well, I'm just getting more customers. That is a pretty fundamental calculation every business guy gets. So am I sympathetic to gurus for basically making a very fundamental calculation? Yeah, I'm a little sympathetic, but I think the consumer should be made aware of the falseness of that advertising. And I think it shouldn't be allowed. But unless YouTube or Facebook is going to actually take action on it, it's hard to know who to completely hold accountable because they're in a competitive market. I mean, ultimately, I do hold the gurus accountable, but I also understand that in order to get popular and sell your course, if the environment is clickbait, I mean, it's sort of like a YouTube channel. If the environment is clickbait, there's a tremendous pressure to clickbait. I get that.
Sure.
But ultimately, I don't think it's right. And this is what I want to get into. Mm-hmm. Specifically, money-making courses, I find health, wealth, and happiness are three industries where there's the most predatory marketing. And here's why. Mm-hmm. Look, if I sell you this iPhone, since we're going with the iPhone thing, there is no need for you to buy that thing. So ultimately, no matter how I market it, you never really need this thing. You never really need it. And so you can make a pretty honest calculation. But let's say I'm sick, right? Let's say I'm sick and you're telling me that your herbal supplement is going to cure my cancer, whatever. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, that's a much different misadvertising that's going on because I have to go buy that thing. I need my health. The same thing with money. If you're telling me you're going to make me rich, and I think this is why courses often focus so much around money, are focused on financial freedom and all that, is because it's an inflexible demand product. I mean, if you have the secret to make me wealthy, I'll pay any amount to get it. If you have the secret to make me well, I'll pay any amount to get it. But if you have, some phone you say is going to change my life, I can buy it or I cannot buy it. It's a much more, it's the price curve is much more competitive. There isn't so much of like, I can just charge whatever amount I want for it. And so that's where I think the scummy nature of this business to me gets ratcheted up, because when you have gurus saying, I'm going to take you out of your financial situation, you're stuck at Wendy's, screwed up, you're trying to make a better life for yourself. And you see this guy on the internet who's who's at the beach and whatever. And you think, oh my gosh, I'll do anything to get out of my situation. That's where it gets predatory to me. And I think that's why they actually make so much money. So I'm not just against false advertising. I'm specifically against false advertising in the guru industry because of the product that y'all sell is an inelastic product that everyone needs. Mm-hmm. We're all dying for money. And so if you promise me money, I want to believe you. It's so much easier for me to get suckered in.
And by the way, I completely agree. I'm against false advertising everywhere. I'm not against false advertising just in the guru space. But I will say this, by the way, recently I had the opportunity to watch your video on your main channel about pyramid schemes. And there was a clip in there that was hilarious. It was the sales guy talking about like, oh yeah, like if you needed a medical treatment or something, I mean, that's ridiculous, right? Just to summarize people that didn't watch it, this sales guy, this MLM meeting was basically teaching people how to sell. And someone was like, well, what if they say they don't have money? And he's like, well, if you needed $10,000, whatever it was, $10,000 to buy your mom heart surgery, you'd find the money. So they're going to find the money if they really want it. Like that was his point. Okay.
Oh, Tanner J. Fox, he goes, if you guys don't have $500, I mean, maybe you're just not cut out to be wealthy. If you can't scrape together $500 for my course, maybe you're just not cut out for it. It's like the scamminess, dude. It's terrible. By the way, another future guru, but it's pretty terrible. Like that, and that is how they ultimately get people. You could charge almost any amount for people to scrape together, and then if they don't get the results. I'm not saying you're saying this, but what most gurus say is they sweep all of them under the rug, under the true but misleadingly true characterization of, well, they just didn't try enough. It's true for some of them, but for a lot of the people who lost money, it's not true. And so where is the fairness for those people? It's like it just
sure. And I want to make
out the guru industry.
I want to make one point clear. You mentioned earlier, you said, hey, if you're going online saying you're going to make people rich, I don't think any guru that I shouldn't say, I don't know. Sam Ovens specifically, Alex Becker, I don't think they ever say, hey, I'm going to make you rich. I don't think that's a phrase. I don't think they say anything close to that. My understanding of what we do, and I learned directly from Becker, okay? Sam Ovens, not as much, but obviously, Becker is very close to Sam. So I hear a lot of what's going on there. And, from what I've heard specifically, okay, the pitch is, hey, you know what? I cannot guarantee that you're going to see these results or that you're going to get these results, but I can guarantee you're going to see how these people did. Okay. That's the pitch, right? So it's not a matter of, hey, I'm guaranteed you're going to get these results. I'm not. What I'm saying is I'm going to guarantee you're going to see how you're going to get these results. And if you don't get these results, that's fine. I'll give you a refund. Okay.
Right.
Now
I can't speak on Becker. I can speak on Sam Ovens. I literally have, because this is what the other guy was telling me too. He goes, Sam Ovens doesn't promise to make anybody rich. It's literally in his webinar. I understand that he just recently updated his webinar. I'm not talking about the new webinar. It's the webinar he's been running for years. He goes, I will teach you how to I can take anyone, get you a wildly profitable business. Do you need to be a Harvard MBA? No, you can be, anybody. And then he caveats and does something, but the implication after it is, as long as you put in the effort. Really, the only distinction between a successful Sam Ovens student and a non-successful one is effort. But that's not actually true. The difference between a successful Sam Ovens student and an unsuccessful Sam Ovens student is their background, what skills they bring to the table, a certain amount of luck, a certain amount of opportunity that the niche that they happen to choose isn't one that is already saturated. I mean, like if they have a certain skill set, if the market is saturated, are they going to be super successful? Mm-hmm. Probably not. A lot of entrepreneurship is opportunity meets preparation and you make some money. But it's like, how can that is the type of representation. And I've watched his new webinar. It's not as scammy. Give him a little credit. It's not as scammy as it used to be. But that is the stuff that I call him out for. I do specifically call out gurus based on their actual representations. He was actually representing two people that fell into a sales funnel that he was going to basically make you wildly profitable so long as you gave him effort.
Okay.
That is...
On that case, I'm not Sam Evans. I'm not going to speak on his behalf. Okay. Sure. And I'm not going to speak on something I haven't seen. So I'm going to say from what I've seen. Okay. Sure. With that aside, from what I've seen is that people are not on here, at least maybe Sam is, I don't know. Okay. But mostly from what I've seen, people are not on here saying, hey, I'm going to make you rich. Just give me $2,000. I don't think that's the pitch. I really don't. I think it's clear in most cases. Now look, again, this is where we go back to the scale of, hey, there's really scammy guys. And then there's guys that are not so bad. I think for the most part, though, the guys that are not so bad are not saying that. I think they're saying, hey, I can help you get there. These are the results I've gotten. Okay. When they say it's a proven system, what does that really mean? That's first of all, what does that mean? What defines a proven system? Let's talk about that. Yeah. Because sure. I don't know the answer to that. I know for me, a proven system is, so if you can take X amount of people through the system and they can get results with it. The problem is how many, what equals X? Is it 10 people?
Okay, this is something I've been dying to talk. Okay, I'm so glad we've hit this point because I've been dying to talk about this. Because everyone always compares college to like guru education, because the implication is, look, not everyone is successful from their college degree. Some people still work at college after, or Starbucks after their college education, and they're $100,000 in debt. That's this huge it's not talked about it very often. People talk about college as being such a great thing. Okay, here's the fundamental distinction between college and gurus that I think could be at one point fixed, but I would like to see gurus take an active role in trying to make these statistics available. Sure. The difference is you can go online and you can find out the average college student's income versus the average non-college educated person's income. And you can find out that on average, you make a lot more money in your lifetime, and it makes the tuition cost worth it. It's worth your tuition cost for the average student. When we talk about proven systems, that's what a proven system is to me. Not for the extraordinary student, but for the average student. What does it mean for the average student? Because you cannot count on yourself being extraordinary. You can count on yourself being average by definition. So for the average guru who goes through a program, do they make more than $2,000 over the non-guru student in, I don't know, even a lifetime I would be satisfied with, but hopefully like within a year or 2 years? Do they make up the cost of the course? If any guru could say that and say that with statistics, I would never have a problem with it, because I'd be thinking, yeah, sure, go through their system. Yeah, and that is proven. You can't just flash, but what actually happens, and this is what actually is going on, is they show their best students and they say, these guys, these extraordinary students succeeded, and they represent that as the case, the standard case. So what I'd like to see, it's before you say, I have a proven system, go talk to your actual students, the average students. Find out, how are they doing? How much money are they making? Are they making more money than they used to make? If so, that's the thing you want to talk about. Not, hey, Joe Blow made $1 billion, with my course or whatever, and that's all I'm going to talk about for the rest of eternity. It's like, yeah, you don't know how much you affected that person. That's why the average case is so perfect, is because you get rid of the noise of someone's effort and all that. You get the average student, you find out, what actually is my course doing? I think it's an honest way to do business, but I think it's also an honest way to evaluate how effective your course is, period. I think gurus should want to know how effective their course is.
I agree. I think you should clarify, are you saying average or median? Because you take average, that's kind of a skewed number, considering that you can't really go under zero.
Yeah, median. Okay. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Great point.
Yeah,
great point.
I'm with you there, 100%. I'm a college dropout. I dropped out of a community college. I went for a year and a half. I can tell you may be a little more into college than I am, given the Texas A&M shirt that you're currently wearing. Yeah. You've been caught red-handed. I'm just kidding. No, I think you're absolutely right. And the big battle we have with college is this, in my opinion. This is guru side. This is my opinion on college.
Sure.
I think here's the problem with college is there is, just like you talk about with gurus, there's no accountability. So let's say I go through college and I get a degree and it doesn't work for me. Can I go get a refund? No, right? I can't. Okay. I don't know. You tell me. I didn't go to college for very long, so maybe you can get a refund. I don't know. I'm not college educated.
No. You absolutely can't.
Okay, that's number one. Number two is, here's the other thing. When you talk about average and all of that, okay. So you're right. College. The reason why college is so successful, because really, if you think about it, what is the point of college? The point of college is to become educated so that you can get a better paying job. You can make more money. That's the point of college. Yeah. What's the point of taking a course that teaches you how to make money? So that you can be educated so you can make more money. I mean, they're very similar in that aspect. Now, where the differences lie is that, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, this is going to sound very cliche, but that society as a whole says you need to be educated. Okay, at least Western society does. United States of America specifically says, hey, you know what? We want our people to be educated, which I agree with 100%. I think we do need to have more education. And I think right now, the cost of college has just become ridiculous. I mean, it's just absurd at this point. I'm pretty sure you agree with me there. Okay. My point is this though, is with colleges specifically, okay, you've got people that go in there that will spend $40,000. We'll get into $40,000 of debt and they'll end up becoming a manager at Starbucks. So where's the accountability for that? Right. And you're talking about, okay, so the median person is successful. Well, how successful does it justify? Because if it costs you $40,000 to go to college, hypothetically, it could cost you more, cost you less. Let's say on average, it costs you $40,000 for 4 years and you end up making $2,000 more a year. Yeah, you'd make that up on the back end, but after interest and all that, it's really not going to be that big of a difference. Interest on your student loans.
I don't have the numbers on hand, but
neither do I. I
can send you some stuff later on. It's a pretty substantial. It's not like you barely squeak by. I mean, it's I think somewhere in the range of $20,000 a year more. I mean, it's pretty heavy. So that's that side of it. The other thing is that I think I would, so this was happening for a while with private for-profit colleges. Mm-hmm. They were heavily marketing to students. They were courting students saying like, oh, come here, we're going to make you so much money. Da, 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 da. People freaked out. They're like, you can't do this. And they were right, by the way, to say that you can't aggressively promise, future incomes and all that kind of stuff. And that's what a lot of state schools do not do. They don't go around heavily courting kids. Kids come because they have a reputation of success and they make that decision. But the school's not going, oh yeah, if you go here, I mean, like, look, here's what, John did from blah, blah, blah. He's our best case scenario. They'll give you the actual statistics of, our average graduate in this degree will make this much money a year. And it's not a misrepresentation and all your costs are laid out up front. I think, so on that end, there's also a more honest advertising going on in some cases, obviously for-profit colleges. I have a huge problem with, I think they're a huge problem. But as far as public colleges, I don't think they suffer from that problem nearly enough. The other thing that is different between gurus and colleges is accreditation. So there is a value not merely in the education, but in the actual the degree is recognized as like a sort of a status symbol. You can't go through Dan Lok's course and say, hey, I'm a high ticket closer. And people don't go, oh, wow. Well, we'll move you to the top of the stack now that you're a high ticket closer, baby. Right. Like that's just not something that happens. And in some jobs, you specifically have to be accredited to do said job. Like to be a professional engineer, you need a PE. You need an engineering degree from a certified school. To be a doctor, to be a lawyer. I mean, like these are, there's a lot of programs within these schools that literally you cannot do it without that thing. Whereas I think gurus target a lot of the soft skills where there is no accreditation needed at all. And so what they're offering is more intangible, which is even more of the reason that I'd like to see numbers. Show me numbers. Sure. I mean, I talk to everybody. Anybody that I see that from this industry, I say, please send me as many numbers as you can. I want the back end. The lack of transparency is what makes me unable to verify, to trust. That's the thing. That's the whole thing.
Right. And I agree with you there. I think transparency is very important. I think you brought up Dan Lok's high ticket closer. I think that's pretty funny. But, I will say this as a business owner.
Did you know Dan Lok's watching this video right now?
I saw your new video about that. That's great. Dan, how you doing, man? Give me a call, Dan. Let's talk. I apologize, Dan. No, I'm just kidding. But that's actually really funny. But no. I think one thing I'll in defense of Dan, okay, that I'll say is yes, you're right. There's no, if some guy came to me, actually, it's funny. I did have someone do this. Maybe I should tell that story. You know,
No,
let's tell the story. Why don't we? Let's tell the story. I didn't think I was going to tell the story, but let's talk about it. Okay. So about a year ago, November of 2018, October, November 2018, we had been running the webinar. We were slowly starting to scaling up. I think at that point we're doing about 25 to 30 new students a month. So super low scale still, but making progress. And I had gotten messaged by someone who claimed to be one of Dan Lok's students. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if there's a database of Dan's students online where you can search and see if they're actually a high ticket. I don't think that exists. Okay. So I just took him at his word. Maybe he wasn't, maybe he was, but he convinced me. He's like, yeah, I work with Dan Lok. He's my, what do they call him? Like his
Sifu.
Sifu, that's what it is. My apologies right there. But anyway, he said, I want to help you close more sales with a higher price point. I said, okay. I said, can you really do this? We talked for a couple of weeks. I said, you know what? It's worth a shot. Let's just try it. Okay. Let's change things up. Let's change it up a little bit. Let's add some new things to the product and let's try it. Why not? So we did that. And we tried it for 2 weeks. And again, we were averaging about maybe 0.75 to 1.5 sales a day before that at a lower price point. But then we drastically dropped. I think the first week we did like 2 sales. Like it was horrible. Okay. And we had the same amount. As soon as
you hire the high ticket closers to close for you.
The high ticket closer. So I want to make this clear. I'm not saying Dan's stuff works or doesn't work. I don't even know if this guy was actually related to Dan, but he claimed to be. I will say specifically.
Read through the lines. Don't sue me, Dan. Don't sue me, Sifu.
Dan, I do not want a lawsuit. I'll just come out and say it. Dan, you're a great guy. I love your suits. Okay, they're great, but I don't. I'm just saying. Anyways, but yeah. So that was my experience with them. But I will say, in defense of Dan, though, I will say this as a business owner. If someone can come to me and they can genuinely help me with sales, okay. And now, look, they show me they went through Dan's course. I don't really care. But if they show me, hey, this is my track record, and I'll learn this from Dan's course, but this is my track record of closing sales, I'm going to look at that more highly. I will say this, look this up, and I'm going to say this, and I'm a little worried about saying this because I don't know the facts directly on me, but I believe I read an article a while back that said that some of the biggest companies now on the planet are no longer requiring a college degree. Now, again, I'm not going out. I'm not saying which ones. I believe it was Apple. I believe it was is either Dell or Microsoft. And there was one other one. I don't want to say. Please look this up. I may be completely wrong. Okay, but I'm just saying that. I believe I read that. So that's number 2. And then the last thing I'll say, is at the end of the day, you might get. It's like being a good-looking guy or girl, right? Like if you're a good-looking guy and you want to talk to a girl, you're going to get in the door just based on how you look. Okay, most of the time. And then whether or not she likes you and she wants to continue talking to you is going to be based on what? On the level of confidence that you have talking to her, on can you hold a conversation, on basic social skills, right?
Sure.
Okay. So it's the same thing with business. I might be more apt to hire someone that has a master's degree, but do they have the skills that are really going to help my business? Because I'm going to be honest with you, we track every metric possible with all of our employees. And at the end of the day, if what they're doing is not, making like numerical results in our business, we're going to get rid of them because we're a business. We need to make money. We have bills to pay. We got people. We have employees to pay. And if you're not, it doesn't matter what degree you have. You could be a doctor. I don't care. If you're not getting results, if you don't have the skills to get results, then it doesn't matter. And so I'm with you there. I think college, yes, it gives you a little bit more of a foot in the door in some instances. However, I will also say, does it really get you the skills that you need to be successful? That's the question. And I'm not saying courses do, by the way. I'm not saying gurus do in all cases. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But since we're talking about college, I think that's a fair point to make.
I would say this. I don't think it necessarily, for sure, it doesn't guarantee anything. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to be successful. It doesn't guarantee that person's going to be qualified or a good worker or it's any of those like fundamental things. But I think it does teach you the valuable skill of how to learn, how to commit yourself to something, how to work something long-term that is abstract. I mean, sitting through like calculus class will not make you a better salesman or something like that, but it teaches you abstract principles. It makes you consider abstract ideas that you had never thought before, fit it into a larger framework. And so later on down the road, when let's say you're doing technical sales and you're selling to some plant and there's a bunch of abstract concepts. Is the guy going to be asking you to do an integration? No. But he might be asking you about some other high, like technical idea that because you went through college, because you've trained your mind to work with these ideas, you're much more able to handle that kind of situation. That is generally what I took away from I did chemical engineering. Have I ever used chemical engineering in my life? I mean, like practically for money, whatever, besides like a couple internships I did. No, not at all.
Okay.
Do I regret any second of college? No, because it has hugely impacted the way I do research in my job. It's hugely impacted my critical thinking, all these things. So I think there's a bunch of intangibles related to college education that are hard to quantify, that do come out later in how successful the people will be. On the individual case, though, anecdotally, I'm sure a bunch of master's degrees kids are idiots. And just because you don't have a college education, you could be some billionaire one day. I mean, nothing is a guarantee in life. But when we're talking about the average case, because I think when I'm talking to, the 18,000 people that are subscribed to this channel, you're probably average. I mean, that's just the truth. Like the viewer, you're probably average. And that's okay. But we have to give advice. I think it's important to give advice to the average case. And if you're not going to, qualify that. Say, hey, if you're some super driven kid, if you've, ran several clubs and been the president of all of them and all this stuff, none of this applies. Like applies to you, to everyone else. Don't listen to this, because you're right. Sometimes, the rule is not, you're not considering the exception. Of course there are exceptions.
Right. And I want to make 3 points. First of all, congratulations on the subscribers. And as a guru, I am in full support of both channels. I didn't even know you had the first channel when we talked, but I've watched some of your videos, your stuff's great. So congratulations there.
Thanks.
Second thing and I'm actually going to call you out a little bit here, Steven. Okay?
Yeah, dude. Call me out. All right.
Do it. So number one is, and let me get through both points. Okay. Number one is, you just talked about how college has a bunch of intangibles that you can't value that have tremendous value, that you've said personally have helped you a lot.
Yeah.
3 minutes before this, if you go back, I don't know exactly how many minutes it was, but a couple minutes before, you said, quote, courses they sell intangible skills that, can you really quantify those? Okay. So you just made the same argument for college that you made for courses, number one, or at least you're a little biased for the college, which I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Number two is, and here's a real big one.
Let me write that down. I'm going to address that point.
Write it down. Number two is here, but don't roast me too hard on the comeback. Number two is, okay. When we talked, and I would like to hear this from you since this is being recorded. What the thing that you told me, and you tell me this is correct or not, the biggest problem that you have with a lot of these gurus is that they're targeting super young people, 18, even younger, 16 to 25-year-olds that don't have a lot of money, that are trying to better themselves, that get easily gullible, pulled into scams.
Correct.
That's one of your biggest problems. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, who does college target?
It targets
18
people right out of high school.
Right out of high school. And they make huge decisions that impact their life in many ways, in many cases in great ways, in many cases in poor ways. So first of all, I'm not trying to compare college and courses because they're not the same. They're both education, but they're completely different. But to be fair to you and to, since we're talking about it, I think that's a fair comparison to make, because if that's one of your biggest problems, I think you should have a considerable issue with college, because the truth is it doesn't work for everybody, right? I mean, you can't say it works for everybody. It doesn't. Maybe on average it does, but it doesn't work for everybody. There's tons of cases where it doesn't work out for them. So how is that okay? You know what I mean? That's my point.
All right, let me address these in reverse order. Okay, first of all, college is predatory. I should have a problem with college. Okay, look, I think there does need to be more education in the types of degrees that will set you up for success and those that won't. I straight up, getting a social sciences degree, unless you're going to go do a master's or a PhD, if you don't have a plan for that degree, that's probably not a good idea. It's probably not a good place. You're going to be the millionth kid graduating with an international studies degree. And it's like, it may work for you, but the chances are much lower. You can help yourself by making better decisions. I think there needs to be more education around that. And I'm also not saying college is perfect. I do think it worked out for me, but I'm not saying college is perfect. But I would heavily push back against college is predatory. Because again, what does college promise? It actually doesn't even promise money. It promises an education. It actually tells you, look, what we're actually going to get you trained up in is we're going to make you read a bunch of books. You're going to do a bunch of homework. You're going to do all these things. But it never says, hey, look, the sales pitch for any college is not, hey, come to make $1 million. You're going to be rich. They don't even promise you're going to be rich. They say, hey, we're going to make you on average middle class. You know what I mean? Like that's the real sales pitch of colleges. It's like, and that's actually what gurus mock is they go, what are you going to go to college and get a regular job and, work 9 to 5 and then retire? And it's like, yeah, that's what most people should do. It's like, yeah. I don't think they're predatory. Do I think they're perfect? No, but I would push back that they're predatory. Meanwhile, the gurus with the Lambo in the garage, it's like they're targeting something that the kids want. I mean, they're getting in the psychology. They're using psychology to get you. So that's number one. Then soft skills versus intangibles. On this note, I would say kind of some of the intangibles I'm talking about are a bit different from what I would call soft skills. Mm-hmm. But so I don't know if they're quite the same. I don't know if critical thinking is the same as like being like a sales guy, because I think you're trying to like teach like salesmanship, whereas critical thinking is a more broad thing. But I hear what you're saying. Mm-hmm. I think, though, if it is the case that courses are producing intangibles that are super valuable for the people that they serve, I think that should be reflected in the average result of that person, even if they don't go on to do the sales or whatever. If you have a global skill of just being more persuasive, you should be able to see that in the results they achieve in life. And that's what I'm saying. I know we don't have these guru average statistics, but what I'm saying is if gurus want to say I have a proven track record, if they want to make the case that this course is justified, how is it justified? How is it justified that a 6-week course can cost $2,000 and there's not mentoring, one-on-one mentoring? How can it be justified that most of the product cost is just spent on recruiting more people? It's like, is college super expensive? Yes. But what is the money spent on? It's spent on expensive buildings that you get to sit in. It's spent on staff that sit with you and actually teach you one-on-one, like not one-on-one, courses. And they all have office hours where you can go one-on-one and meet with qualified, accredited professionals. And so my thing is like, okay, how are these courses justifying their own existence? It's like, what are you spending money on? Why is your course so expensive? I just need some kind of a like validation to make me say, okay, you're right. This guy is not actually a scam. Until then, this industry, dude, I'm going to be honest, like 95% of this industry sucks.
Dude, I'm in it. You're talking to what's that? You're preaching to the choir. Like I know. Okay, yeah, I know. Yeah. I've seen it. I know. That's why I'm here. Okay, I'm here for a reason. Well, real quick, the last thing we'll talk about college, because I know you want to get back to the guru stuff, but I will say this. You talk about the facts of college and all this. I mean, dude, if you look at it, the cost of college has gone up exponentially in the last 30 years, right? Yeah. And the median household income has virtually not moved. I mean, it's maybe moved with inflation a little bit, if that. Actually, I think it's lost to inflation. So clearly, something's not working, okay? Now, this is not a political debate, so I think you should just end it there and move back to the main subject, if you're okay with that. But
sure. Yeah. And I agree.
No, there you go. I'm glad we've come to an agreement, my friend. It's funny.
Yeah, college cost is out of control.
It is. And that's when I say they're being predatory, that's what I mean. You're right. Their marketing is not predatory. They do have brand and they do have social pressure. You need to do that, which it's not really kind of their fault, but not really. Okay. But really the big picture is what's their pricing, right? I mean,
the pricing is
a little sketchy
to get out. It is just factually out of control.
It's ridiculous.
And I agree. There is a certain cost of like, even if your product works for a lot of people, if the people it doesn't work for end up $40,000 in debt, how does that really? No, I hear you. I am not like, I'm a huge fan of college, but I have huge problems with the industry, kind of these more intractable problems associated with it. And like you said, I mean, a lot of it's political, like,
you're right.
Anyway.
And that's why I don't want to go to it. But anyway, and I appreciate you being honest, because I can tell you're a college guy. And I think you being honest here is the same thing that I want to do here with the gurus. I want to be honest and tell you guys the inside of it. Another thing I know you wanted to talk about was the refund policies, the 30-day action guarantee. Is that something that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I kind of have a problem with it, but to me, it is like one of the smaller guru sins that that they're making. I don't really care that much. What did I talk about? One thing I want to talk about is you told me that there's like this book that has all the guru secrets, the playbook of gurus.
It's a fantastic book. It's called Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. It is the playbook of the guru business model. Now, listen, there's gurus that run their business differently, but they're usually not that successful. Okay. This is the playbook. So it goes over, we talked about how to start a mass movement. I can share that with you guys if you want. There's, the webinar.
No, dude, run through it, man. Run through it for the people watching. Give them an education.
I have a copy of it in my business partner's office. Can I grab that real quick? I'll actually.
Sure.
But I know you have this book on your guru list right here, .com Secrets. That's another great one for anyone out there. But anyways, this is the book right here. It's called Expert Secrets. And half of this book is just talking about webinars and how to properly do a webinar. I will say this. I'm very biased. I'm a massive fan of Russell Brunson. I think he's a very, very smart guy. If you're interested in business at all, I'd recommend this book. But anyways, the first thing they really talk about, or one of the first things they talk about in this book, is creating a mass movement. And this applies to gurus, but it really applies to any mass movement ever. Okay, we talked about it on the phone about presidential elections. And there's three things that you really need. The first is you need a charismatic leader. Okay, that's why courses are sold through singular people. Okay, college has been around for so long, there's such a brand of it that they don't need to do that. But you're not going to buy a consulting course if you're like, I don't know, that's kind of sketchy. But if it's like, oh, it's Sam Ovens, you feel like you know Sam Ovens, that's different, right? So that's number one, charismatic leader. And I'm not going to go into too depth, but just know that that's a very important point. And then you look at big companies, they've done the same things. You think about Apple. Well, when Apple started, who was the face of Apple forever? Steve Jobs. Yeah, he was the guy. And
Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg. You look at Elon Musk. And so whenever you're launching a company, there's always going to be a charismatic leader if you want it to be successful most of the time. Now, of course, it's not always the case, but most of the time that's the way it is. That's number one. And I'm sure you can find a million cases where that's not true, but I'm just telling you. Okay. Number two is, you need what's called a future-based cause. Okay. And this is where we talked about specifically about the presidential elections. And I'm not here to get political. I'm not here to go any political, but just to bring up examples.
Tell them the facts, Spencer. Give them the facts.
So, you go back to 2016 to the election, and why did Trump win versus Hillary win? Without getting political. Well, one of the reasons is that Trump had a future-based cause. What was Trump's campaign slogan? Everybody knows it, Make America Great Again. What was Hillary's? I don't even remember. But
I thought it was I'm with her or something like that.
I think it is I'm with her. Let's look it up just so I can be transparent. Hillary's campaign slogan 2016. I'm pretty sure it was I'm with her. Let's see here. It just says slogan and it says blank. That's fucking helpful. Thank you. Let's see here.
Let's just call it I'm with her, dude. I'm pretty sure it was.
Fair enough. Fine. So
it wasn't memorable is what it was.
It was not memorable, and it was not a future-based cause. Because if I'm like, I'm with her, I'm like, okay, well, what does that really mean for the country? Why is that really going to help us? Like, there's just so many unanswered questions there. And then you go back to Obama in 2008. Okay. Well, Obama's campaign slogan in 2008, I believe, was change. Okay. It was like one word, like change, which even though it's so simple, it's a future-based cause.
Yeah. Okay? It's implying we're going to move forward and change along the way into some better society, whatever. I mean,
you can go back even to like MLK. Okay. MLK's future-based cause was, hey, we want equality. Okay. I have a dream, right? That was the future-based cause. Okay. Now, I tell you this because every major mass movement has to have a future-based cause. I mean, religions have it, okay? I don't know if the Illuminati exists. I'm not confirming or denying that. But if it did exist, I'm assuming they have a future-based cause. Okay, everybody has a future-based cause, number one, okay, or number two. And the last thing you need is what's called a new opportunity, okay? So where does this fit into the guru space? Okay, it's very simple.
Yeah.
Charismatic leader is the person, the face of it, right? Mm-hmm. And you've got future-based cause, which is, okay, what's our goal here? For us, we teach something called surplus fund recovery, which without getting into too much detail, it's, hey, how can we help people recover the money they're owed from foreclosures? That's our future-based cause, okay? For Sam, it's, how can we go out and start a successful business, okay? How can I go out and make money for myself, right? And that's kind of the general one for all gurus, but, that's all things aside. That's basically what it is, okay? Yeah. And then the third thing is okay, what is the new opportunity, okay? Well, again, for us, it's surplus funds. That's something new, right? For Sam, it's consulting, okay? Right. And that's the whole idea. Now, the reason why you have a new opportunity versus something that's better, because let's say I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to educate you slightly better than college, okay? That's not a great sales pitch, right? That's not.
It's a terrible sales pitch.
It's a terrible sales pitch. It's what's called an improvement offer, okay? An improvement offer is when you're doing something better, okay? You don't want to do something better. You want to do something different. Okay. What was Apple's slogan? Think different. Okay.
Think different, dude.
Think different. So this is where it all comes from. I highly recommend this book. You should add it to your guru list. This book is referenced a lot, and it's the Guru Playbook.
That's really interesting. I didn't know about that last one, the new opportunity. That's so true. Yeah. All the gurus and all the webinars, they're going, I have a new thing, my new plan, my new, proven whatever, with Jason Bond picks, it's a new stock picking strategy. With other guys, it's how I pick successful, my formula for picking successful Shopify store products.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, that's a great point.
Now, you want to know something? And I cannot believe I'm going to share this with you guys, but you want to know something crazy? This is great. He's excited.
Yeah, dude.
So, okay. And this goes into sales. And I know at this point, you've watched a few webinars, right?
Oh, too many.
which, if you don't mind me asking, which ones have you watched?
I've watched Dan Lok. I watched Ovens. I think I watched part of Kristani's. Okay. I watched the guy from Shark Tank. He and Neil Patel's they did some kind of webinar. I've just watched a bunch of them. Did you have any specific one in mind?
No. I just want to bring up webinars as a whole because one thing that you'll see a lot with webinars, and I don't know if you've seen this because most of those I haven't seen. I've seen Sam's. I've seen a little bit of Dan Lok's, but honestly not that much.
Oh, I've seen Becker's too. I've seen Becker's webinar.
So those two webinars in specific, because I can speak about those ones, Becker and Sam's. If you think back to them, did they tell you a story? Was there ever a time when they told you a story?
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember. Didn't they say back when I was young or whatever, mm-hmm. I was young and broke and da-da-da-da-da.
Would you like to know why they did that?
I'd love to know. Yeah, dude, give me the story.
Okay. So here's the deal. I'm going to draw this up because this is not complicated, but it's hard to explain. So let me clear this. Okay. So you can see this again?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So here's the deal. If I want you to think or to agree with me on something, I could sit here, I could try to argue with you about it. I could be like, hey, Steven, courses are the greatest thing ever. You should start liking courses. You're like, no, I don't, what? No. Why would I do that? You're like, this is stupid. So I want you to get over here. Okay. And you're over here and you're just like, no, this is not going to happen. I'm not going over there. Right. So in order for me to do that, I have to get you to come up with the idea. Okay. And what I mean by that is I have to get you, without me telling you, I have to get you to think, well, courses are great. Okay. So how do you do that? The point I'm trying to make is how you do that. And Apple does this all the time, by the way.
Yep.
I'll explain how in a second, but just take my word for it for now and I'll get there. Is they tell a story. Okay. So if I tell you this story and I'm like, hey, dude, I was right here and I went through this process and it sucked. And I really wanted to get here. Okay. And here, by the way, is not, I wanted to buy a course. That's not where I wanted to get to. What I wanted to get to was I wanted to get X result. And I was trying to go there and I just kept hitting brick walls and brick walls and brick walls. Right. And eventually I discovered this. And this one thing took me from here to here. Okay. And that's a really poor story, but that's the model. Okay. Because if I tell you that story and I never mention, hey, there's a course, then in your head, you're going along. And what do people do when they hear a story? Well, naturally they put themselves in the main character's position. They say, well, if that was me and I wanted to get there, I kind of do want to get there. What would that be like? Oh my God, I can't imagine, struggling and going all through this. And then finally I hit this brick wall. Oh my God, this is horrible. And then, oh my God, I discovered this thing and it took me here. That's the model. That's why we tell stories. Okay. And that is all laid out in this book as well. It's called he calls it an epiphany bridge story, but you want the person that's listening or, comprehending the story to be have that aha moment, have the epiphany of oh my God, that makes sense. You know what I mean? That. And if they start thinking that way, then they're going to start to agree with you on things. If they start to agree with you on things, then they're going to potentially buy something from you or they're going to want to be your customer. Now, how does Apple use this? Well, I watched your video on Apple's advertising. So you brought it up yourself. What is one of the one of the four stages that Apple advertises? Well, they do narratives. They do stories, right? So if you tell a story of how, I'm gonna go to my daughter. I think the example is I'm gonna go to my daughter's recital and I'm gonna take a video of it. Now that story is in your mind, you're putting yourself there well, what if that was my daughter, right? And what if that was her recital? And oh my God, this is amazing. And I need the iPhone. Okay. So that's what I'll share. And again, I don't want to go too in depth because I don't think we have the time to go over it, but the information is in, I think I'm going to be his best salesman now. I should ask for a kickback. A commission or whatever. Yeah, a commission. What the hell, Russell? But
yeah. No, I actually think that's really interesting. And the other thing the story does is it makes you realize, okay, your process sucked and you had to screw around for 2 years to find this one secret, but now you know the secret. Well, what's the secret? What's the secret, Spencer? What's the secret? And then I think, oh, I need to get the secret from Spencer. And then when you say, I've got the secret, it's just right inside these doors. Just pay a little, just give me your credit card to get through the doors. All of a sudden, that's a much easier sell. No, absolutely. Stories are incredibly powerful. That's super interesting, by the way.
Yeah. And that's why, like, if and you've seen like 4 or 5. So I don't want to call myself a webinar master, but I've probably watched thousands of hours of webinars at this point, just because of me trying to work on our business and all that. I want to see.
Yeah, sure. You got to get the webinar perfect.
I got to get the webinar game right. I know you're a big fan of the webinar, so I'm glad we're having this discussion. But, I've seen amazing webinars. I've seen webinars that suck, and I've seen everything in between. And the webinars that are really, really, really good, and by really good, I mean 2 things. They keep you interested in listening, even as someone that's seen 100 webinars, or probably more, right? And and they convert well, right? Those are the 2 things I'm looking for. And I don't know everyone's numbers, but I can tell you right now for a fact, the people that just go on and talk about, oh yeah, well, this is what we do, and this is how we do it, and they're like really monotone. They just give you step by step how to do it. Number 1 is, what do people say after you've given them? They say, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. You've given me too much information. Why would I buy anything from you? Because they think they know it all. Maybe they do in some instances, maybe they don't, but there's too much. And then number 2 is, they're not even going to watch that far because they're like, oh my God, this is too much. Right. So in many cases. Okay. So that's where stories come into. And really the whole point of a good story on a webinar is to, break, and I know you're going to love this one, to break someone's false belief. Okay. So someone's believing they need to go down one road. How can you change their mind about that? And you can't just say, hey, you shouldn't do that, because that doesn't work. So the question is, how do you do that? And that's what the story. So I'm glad we talked about this. This is great. I'm excited.
Dude, we're peeling back the layers of what it means to be a modern guru on the internet, selling webinars, whatever, all the trappings that come with it. I really appreciate this conversation. We're probably running into the edge of people's attention span. Actually, we face planted into it probably 30 minutes ago, but I really appreciate you coming on. I could see us having another conversation in the future, because I feel like we have not tapped out of stuff to talk about. But for now, that's probably where we're going to have to end it. To everybody watching, thank you for listening. Guys, we don't just have testimonials from the good side, the bad. We have everybody on. We give everyone a chance to talk. So Dan Lok, if you're listening, I want to talk to you, Dan. Dan, right now, listen to me. Look me in the eyes. You can come on Coffeezilla and give your case, please. I welcome you to my show. Don't ban your students for commenting. Come on the show, baby. Come on the show. Okay, that's all for now. Talk to y'all later.